Hello, how are you? I hope you are happy in your home and you in your native places. Since March 2020, our country has been locked down on the account of COVID-19, on the account of outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. All world are facing this problem. Even all country are facing same problem like COVID-19 infection. And since March, our all colleges and universities and educational institution has been closed due to this pandemic. Therefore, your classes has been also closed since March 2020. Your exam has been also cancelled. Some of the exam I think already you were completed, but those are papers are not conducted before the lockdown. These papers and these exams has been cancelled, and you shifted to TYBAC courses. You chose physics and geology as your major subject in your TYBAC geology TYBAC level. In geology, we have total two theory subjects. The paper one, the paper code is USGE 501. That paper title is Precambrian Geology. This will teach by Mr. M. R. Gaikwad, and the paper second, that is the paper code USGE 502, and the paper in title is called as Igneous Petrology, is to be taught by myself. And based on these both paper 1 and paper 2, that is the third paper, that is the practical related paper based on this 501 and 502. My paper is my paper title is Igneous Petrology, and the paper code is USGE 501. What is meant by igneous petrology? Igneous petrology means the branch of geology which deals with the study of igneous rocks. What is meant by igneous rocks? Those rocks are formed due to the cooling, consolidation, solidification and crystallization of magma, called as igneous rocks, and those subject are detailed study about the igneous rocks is called as igneous petrology. Igneous is a Greek word is fire, and petrology means Greek word of rock. The fire formed rocks means those rocks are formed due to the fire, due to the ignition of earlier rock, and then form those rocks called as igneous petrology. Logical study means scientific study of rocks, that is the igneous petrology. Means scientific definition of igneous petrology is the branch of geology which deals with the study of igneous rocks, called as igneous petrology. But petrology definition is the study of rocks, and igneous rocks definition is those rocks are formed due to the cooling and consolidation of magma and then crystallization of those magma, called as igneous rocks, and which subject studied the igneous rocks is called as igneous petrology. Okay, in igneous petrology we have total 4 units. The unit number 1 based on internal structure of the earth with its physics and chemistry along with classification of igneous rocks. Igneous rocks has been classified into different ways: morphological classification, genetic classification, chemical classification, chemico-mineralogical classification and textural classification. In this unit 1 we have also studied the classification of igneous rocks, whether it is chemico-mineralogical classification, mineralogical classification, genetic classification, textural classification and morphological classification. These are the different types of classification of igneous rocks studied in the unit number 1. Also, unit number 1 comprises the textures in igneous rocks. Identify the textures in igneous rocks, whether it is equigranular or equigranular or porphyritic, poikilotic. These structures based on the grain size of the igneous rocks, based on crystal size of the igneous rocks, based on the chemistry of the igneous rocks, whether it is acidic igneous rock, whether it is basic igneous rocks, whether it is ultra basic igneous rock, or whether it is oversaturated igneous rocks, based on silica percentage. Also classification of igneous rocks based on silica percentage. If the silica percentage is high, called as acidic igneous rocks. It is very low, it is called as oversaturated igneous rock. In between, intermediate igneous rocks, and basics means between the intermediate and acidic, that is called as basic igneous rocks. These are the classification of igneous rocks. And also the unit 1 comprises the common rock types occurs in the Indian country. Those igneous rocks are most commonly found in the India is called as common type of igneous rocks found in the India, that is granite, basalt, kimberlite, lamprophire, gabbro, dolerite, carbonatite. These are the common type of igneous rocks are found in the Indian continent or Indian subcontinent. These are the unit 1 syllabus. I have already sent you syllabus on your WhatsApp group, which is already prepared by me, and also send on Google Classroom. You will check both syllabus both on Google Classroom as well as in your WhatsApp group. These are the unit 1 syllabus. Unit 2 syllabus based on the phase rule, crystallization and melting behavior of the igneous rocks. Phase rule: 1 component phase rule, 2 component system, 3 component system, ternary system, binary system, ternary system, and binary, ternary, and binary, ternary, and secondary system. 1 component system, 2 component system, and 3 component system based on the Gibbs phase rules, FCP. Means actually phase rules are based on the 3 system: 1 component system, 2 component system, and 3 component system. Detailed study in the unit number 2, the binary diagram, ternary diagram, that's right. And unit 3, the evolution of magma. There are two types of basically there are two types of magma: basic magma and acidic magma. How to origin acidic magma and how to origin basic magma, and their evolution studied in the unit number 3. Also magmatic assimilation and magmatic differentiation. Magmatic assimilation means mixing of magma. Two magma are mixed in one system called as magmatic assimilation, and magmatic differentiation means the one magma has been converted into the two types of magma called as magmatic differentiation. These are studied in the unit number 3. Also gabbroic layered intrusion, anarthosites, alkali basalt, nephelinites, carbonatite, kimberlite, and other related rocks in detail studied in the unit number 4. Also subduction related activity. Those igneous rocks are formed due to the plate tectonic, due to the subduction activity, due to the tectonic activity, due to the earthquake activity, due to the volcanism. These rocks are formed called as plate tectonic igneous rocks are formed due to the plate tectonic activity are studied in the unit number 4. Also some of the gabbroic layered intrusion type of rock like kimberlite, carbonatite, these rocks are detailed studied in the unit number 4. These are the total, we have total 4 units. Number 1, internal structure of earth, plus classification of igneous rocks, plus textures in igneous rocks, plus common type of igneous rocks are found in the Indian country. These are the unit number 1. Unit number 2, based on the pressure and temperature. Based on pressure temperature means related to the phase rules like binary system, secondary system, and ternary system. And third unit are based on magmatic evolution, whether it is granitic magma, whether it is basaltic magma, and its origin. And also unit number 4, based on the subduction related activity. The rocks are formed due to the plate tectonic, volcanism, earthquake, and other types of plate tectonic related igneous activity are studied in the unit number 4. Also some gabbroic layered intrusion like I already talk about kimberlite, carbonatite, and gabbroic layered intrusion are studied in the unit number 4. First today we start the unit number 1, that is the internal structure of earth and classification of earth along with textures and common type of igneous rocks. The first one, internal structure of the earth, that is the also called as interior of the earth. Interior of the earth is also called as internal structure of the earth. You know, earth has been divided into 3 different layers, right? One is crust, second is mantle, and third is core. The crust is uppermost part of the earth. Crust is uppermost part of the earth. The total thickness of the earth, total radius of the earth is 6,371 km. Total radius of the earth is 6,371 km. In this layer there are 3, in this thickness there are 3 layers: crust, mantle, and core. Crust is uppermost part of the earth and core is inner part of the earth. The total thickness is, total thickness is 6,371 km. The uppermost part of the earth is crust. The crust thickness is varied from 0 kilometer to 40 kilometer. There are the thickness of crust. The first layer of the earth is called as crust. The thickness of the crust is 0 to 40 kilometer. Then start the mantle. Below the crust start the mantle, and the crust and mantle divided by the particular continuity is called as Mohorovicic discontinuity. Crust and mantle is separated by the Mohorovicic discontinuity at 40 kilometer. Then start the mantle. The mantle again divided into two layers, upper mantle and lower mantle. The upper mantle start from 40 kilometer to the 520 kilometer. Then start lower mantle. The lower mantle and upper mantle is separated by the particular discontinuity is called as Gutenberg discontinuity at 520 kilometer. Below the 520 kilometer from the surface is called as lower mantle up to the 2900 kilometer. Means from 520 kilometer to 2900 kilometer is the layer is called as lower mantle. Then start the core. The core is a major portion of the earth. The start from 2900 and end at the 6371 kilometer. Then this core again divided into two layers, outer core and inner core. The outer core start from 2900 kilometer up to the 5120 kilometer. Then start the inner core, but this inner core and outer core is separated by the one particular discontinuity is called as Conrad discontinuity at 5000 okay, 5120 kilometer. Then start the inner core. These are the different layer of the earth: crust, mantle and core. The crust is uppermost part of the earth. Then start the mantle. Mantle again divided into two layers, upper mantle and lower mantle. The crust separated by the mantle is called as Morosiv discontinuity. The upper mantle separated by the lower mantle called as Gutenberg discontinuity. And outer core and lower mantle separated by the discontinuity called as Conrad discontinuity. These are the three different layers. What is the chemistry of these layers? The crust is mainly composed of Sil and Sima. Sil means silica and aluminium, and Sima means silica and magnesium. There are again crust divided into two different types: continental crust and oceanic crust. The continental crust made up of silica and aluminium minerals elements, and other hand, oceanic crust is made up of silica and magnesium. Another layer is mantle. The chemistry of mantle. The mantle is mostly made up of nickel and iron, and little amount of silica and aluminium and silica and magnesium also. And the core is maximum core is made up of nickel and cobalt. But the outer core is totally in the form of gel type. It is a semi-liquid material present in the outer core. These are the three different layers. How to identify these layers, whether it is crust, where it is mantle, where it is core? These are based on the mainly seismic waves. The earthquake are very disadvantageous. The earthquake is disadvantageous. The earthquake is considered as the geohazard. Earthquake is considered as a natural hazard. But one of the advantages of earthquake for the geoscientist to use for the identification of internal structure of earth based on the seismic waves. There are two types of seismic waves: longitudinal seismic waves and primary seismic waves and secondary seismic wave. Primary, secondary means longitudinal, and secondary means surface wave. These waves are passing from the mantle, core and up to the crust. When start the earthquake, vibrate ground motion, then vibration to the earth, and some waves are passing from this mantle, core, mantle and to the crust. Based on these waves, we have possible to identify the actual thickness of the earth, where it is crust, where it is mantle, where it is the boundary between the core and mantle. The based on only seismic activity. One of the advantages of earthquake, that is the identification of the earth's layers based on the seismic data. The geoscientists are used this seismic data to interpretation of these crust, mantle and core layers. Also, the density of the earth material. The crust Mantle and core. Increases depth, increase the density of material. Where in crust the density of material is 4 gram per centimeter cube. In mantle increases from 5 to 5.5. Then inner core, outer core 5.5 to 6 gram per centimeter cube. And in inner core the density of the material of the earth is 8 gram per centimeter cube. Means the increases the depth, increases the density of the earth material. Density of the earth material means, first the chemistry of the earth. In crust mostly made up of silica and magnesium, silica and aluminium. Continental crust made up of silica and aluminium. Oceanic crust made up of silica and magnesium. And mantle is made up of nickel and iron, and core is made up of nickel and cobalt. This is the chemistry of the earth. And physics of the earth. What is the physics of the earth? The seismic waves. There are two waves, primary wave and secondary wave. Primary waves are passing to all media. Crust, primary seismic waves are passing through all media like solid, liquid and gas. But our earth is made up of two components, solid and liquid. The crust is solid, mantle is solid, upper mantle is solid, lower mantle is solid. Also inner core is solid, but outer core means intermediate between the lower mantle and inner core is called as outer core. These are made up of liquidous media. From this media only passing the primary wave passing from the solid and liquid. So the primary earthquake waves are passing from the core to the crust, but secondary wave not passing from the outer core, because of outer core is made up of liquidous material. And from this zone, due to the presence of liquid, secondary wave are not passing from this zone. Therefore these are the physics of the earth, like based on the seismic waves. Like then you should idea about the exploring the inside the earth. Like geologists have used two main types of evidence to learn about the earth. Learn about the earth's interior: direct evidence from the rock sample and indirect evidence of seismic wave. We identify the internal structure of earth based on the only two ways. One is seismic wave and another is rock sample. But maximum drilling on the earth, that is the 12 kilometer maximum drill we drill till date as on today, maximum up to the 12 kilometer from the surface, means up to the only middle portion of the crust. We cannot touch the mantle or core. This is only possible the geological study of mantle and core based on the internal structure of earth, based on the seismic waves of the earthquake. Okay, these are the evidences. The temperature, another is physics of the earth. Now we should move towards the physics of the earth. Physics means physics of the earth, physical nature of the earth. The earth temperature, internal temperature of the earth is increases the depth. Every 20 meters below earth's surface, rock begin to get warmer. For every 40 meters that you descend from the point, 1 degree Celsius temperature will be rise. For every 40 meters, means for 400 meter 10 degree Celsius increases, means for 1 kilometer near about 25 degree Celsius increase temperature for 1 kilometer. Every 1 kilometer, our total thickness of the earth is 6300 into 25, means near about 15,000 degrees Celsius temperature present at the center portion of the earth. Also pressure also increases the pressure, also increases the depth, increase the pressures. Crust, the pressure in the earth crust is lesser than the mantle and higher than the lesser than the core, means increases the depth, increases the temperature. Crust pressure is mantle pressure is greater than crust, and core pressure is mantle greater than mantle. These are the same concept. Temperature and pressure increases the depth of the earth, increases the temperature as well as increases the pressure. The unit of pressure is kilobar. You already discussed about the crust. There are two types of crust: continental crust and oceanic crust. Continental crust means presence of land above the outside the ocean, called as continental crust. Continental crust mostly made up of silica and aluminium. The maximum concentration in the crustal composition is silica and aluminium. But in case of oceanic crust, made up of silica and magnesium. Therefore, all oceanic water become saline due to the presence of magnesium. Mantle, the mantle is below the crust. The total thickness of crust is 0 to 40 km. Then start the mantle. The boundary between crust and mantle is on 40 km. And how to identify the boundary between crust and mantle? That is the Mohorovic discontinuity. One of the discontinuity due to the breaks in the rock called as discontinuity. This discontinuity is called as Mohorovic discontinuity. Those which discontinuity are present between the crust and mantle means, or which discontinuity separate the crust from mantle, that is the Mohorovic discontinuity at 40 km. Then start the upper mantle. The upper mantle mostly made up of nickel and iron. But in considering the rock composition, the upper mantle mostly made up of peridotite type of igneous rocks. Peridotite is ultramafic igneous rocks. Ultramafic means those rocks are present containing higher than 90% of mafic mineral. Mafic mineral means dark colored element presence in the dark mineral presence in the rock. Olivine, pyroxene and amphibole. These are the dark colored mineral. Those rocks are containing the dark colored mineral like olivine, pyroxene and amphibole called as mafic mineral, and these peridotite are mostly present in the upper mantle. Then start the lower mantle. Lower mantle and upper mantle separated by the one discontinuity, one break is called as Gutenberg discontinuity at 520 km. Then start lower mantle, and then lower mantle and core. The core and mantle separated by one of the particular break called as Conrad discontinuity at 2900 km. What is the lithosphere? Lithosphere is uppermost part of the mantle, not crust. Lithosphere is uppermost part of the earth. 500 means uppermost part means 400 km to the 520 km is upper mantle. Then uppermost part of the upper mantle means 40 to something 200 km is called as lithosphere. This is the rigid layer called as lithosphere. In Greek words, lithos means rock, the presence of rock called as lithosphere. Then asthenosphere below the lithosphere is layered is water and under increasing pressure. Increases depth, increases the temperature and pressure. Below the lithosphere means below the 100 km is one of the layer is called as asthenosphere. This layer is very hot because of presence of high temperature and high pressure. The soft layer of this mantle is called as asthenosphere. Soft layer of the mantle is called as asthenosphere. In Greek word, asthenos means weak. Astheno means weak rock. Weak, although the layer is softer than the rest of the mantle. Those mantle portion is softer than the other part of the mantle is called as asthenosphere. Astheno means soft material presence in the earth, internal part of the earth. Then lower mantle start from 520 km to 2900 km. Then start the core. The core thickness from 2900 to 6371 km. Then again core divided into two layers, outer core and inner core. Outer core is 2900 to 5120 km. Then inner core from 5120 to 6371 km. The outer core is made up of liquidous media and inner core is made up of solidus media. Both are made up of nickel and cobalt elements. The inner and outer core. The outer core is layer of molten metal. The outer core is made up of molten material. Molten means melted material that surround the inner core despite the pressures from the rock above its liquid. The inner core is dense ball like solid metal. In this inner core, extreme pressure squeezes the atoms of iron and nickel. Atoms of iron and nickel so much that they cannot spread out and become liquid. The core and Earth's magnetic field. Also, the relationship between the magnetic field and Earth core. The very closely related to the core and Earth magnetic field. Everywhere the magnetic field will change. Suppose you go to the mountain, the magnetic field will be high, and you go to the valley, the magnetic field will be less. You go near to the coast, magnetic field will be high. You go to the North Pole, magnetic field will be rise. You go to the south pole the magnetic field will decrease. Scientists believe that movements in earth liquid outer core create earth magnetic field. The most of the geoscientists are believe that the outer core create earth magnetic field. Because earth has magnetic field, the planet act as giant bar magnet. These are the internal structure of earth. Okay, means you know physics and chemistry of the earth, along with chemistry and some of the physics with clubbed with the seismic waves, primary wave and secondary wave based on the earthquake zone. Okay, means you clear understanding about the internal structure of the earth. There are three layers: crust, mantle and core. You know also density of the crust, density of the mantle and density of the core. Also you know you should learn about the chemistry of the earth, whether what is the chemistry of crust, what is the chemistry of mantle, what is the chemistry of core. Also you should know that you should learn, you was learn today lecture, that is the where primary waves are passing from which media and secondary waves are not passing from which media. The secondary waves are not passing from the outer core because of outer core is made up of liquid media, and secondary waves are not passing from the liquid media, which is only passing through the solid media. But primary wave passing from the all media, solid, liquid and gases, and our earth is made up of solid and liquid. Therefore primary wave passing through the both layers from crust to mantle and mantle to core. But secondary wave only passing from the crust, upper mantle to crust or lower mantle to crust, and outer core up to the boundary between inner core and outer core, but not pass from outer core to the upper mantle, because of outer core is totally made up of liquid material. Okay, these are the portion based on the internal structure of the earth. If you have any suggestion or if you have any doubt, you should write email or you should write on WhatsApp group regarding this internal structure of earth. I also provide you to the PDF notes in the form of PPT PDF, which is based on this my video lecture. And you should you also provide one assignment based on these lectures. Okay, you should give answer for the particular answers in MCQ based as well as essay type question. You should write in the Google form also. I will prepare Google form like MCQ as well as some of the space you should write on your mobile essay type questions and reply to me by Google form only. And next lecture also will conduct on this type of method. Okay, thank you.